Welcome to the course Critical Thinking Skills in Science. We're on Chapter 7, Western Science, session number 5. We're continuing with the house structure. We started with 1 down below, which was the assumed source of reliable knowledge. Then we filled in with all the basic beliefs. Then we stated what was our system, theoretical system of thought, what was our philosophy, went through our methods. Our methods produced a practice, which was our science. And now our science is going to take, and we're going to look at the resources available to that science, and those are going to be 2 pillars, and how that science uses those resources to explain the different facets of the cosmos. So the number 1 pillar that we have, the first pillar, represents the resources available to this model is matter and energy. So that is what we have to deal with, is that what are the resources available to the evolutionary model to explain the different origins. So we have matter and energy. We have, well, let's go on to the next one. The second column of resources, what do we have? We have the second pillar represents the resources available to this model is time and chance. So what we have is matter, energy, time, and chance. Now, time and chance is a very Western concept because of time. And in time, there is in the ancient cultures, there was 2 concepts of time in Greek, and there was the kairos time and there was the chronos time. And chronos is time that is marked, that is mechanical, that is a time itself is a commodity. Time itself exists, whereas in the kairos form is time is not a commodity. Time is a stage of what happens within that bracket of time. So it's kind of like time in a non-Western world, as maybe you have experienced, is not that important. Punctuality is not that high on the list. So in other words, if you are with somebody and they are kairos, they are going to stay with you, enjoying that community, and it might pass over into another time slot that they're supposed to be somewhere else, but they will continue with you because that is what is most important. It is the community. It is what happens within time. Whereas for us, we are very punctual. We are very chronos driven, not kairos. And what is most important to us is the time. Time is money. Time is valuable. Time is. And so we gauge everything by time invested, by how much time. And so here we have time and chance. Those are resources that are very important and available within this science model. So here we have number 4, we have the 2 resources of matter, energy, plus time and chance produces products. Okay, that floor is products. Based on what products are produced by this science model, this evolutionary science model. How do we explain the origin of the universe? Number 1, we go with the origin of the universe is the Big Bang theory. And does that work? Does that match up with the resources available? Well, you have time, or you have matter, you have energy, time, and chance. You have matter that explodes over time, destabilizes, and then explodes and becomes and forms the universe that we know today. You know, it's kind of like, well, is that true? Well, it is true to its theory. It is true to its underpinning. It's true to the resources that are available of matter, energy, time, and chance. That is a good explanation of the Big Bang according to those parameters. Well, how about the origin of life? Well, the origin of life is spontaneous generation. It's matter that is superheated or heated somehow through the sun's heating up, and over time and just by chance, that matter produces life. And it is so rare that it would ever do that it's only happened once. And it's only happened on this planet. So in other words, it is a thing that cannot be replicated because of such an event that is a one-time thing. Because the conditions were so perfect that to generate this life from matter with energy by time and by chance, it produced life. How many times did it produce life? Once. It only produced it once. It didn't produce it several times. So it only began once. And where did that begin? It only began in one spot, on one planet, planet Earth. There is nowhere else. And that's what Dawkins had said in his quote earlier, in that the chemists have not been able to replicate the origin of life, the spontaneous generation. But we shouldn't be really concerned because it is nowhere else. It is nowhere in the universe that we've detected. It is only on planet Earth, and it only happened in one spot, and it only happened once. Yet it happened. That's because of the belief system of Richard Dawkins, is that evolutionary science requires the evolution of life, no matter how improbable or probable it be. Origin of life, spontaneous generation. The origin of man. Origin of man is taking matter, previous matter, which in this case would be old world monkey, and then mutating that matter through energy, through some sources, and over time and by chance, it has created us, or we have arrived. Now, is that true? It is true to the parameters of this paradigm, of this system. Yes, it is true. So they are obedient to matter, energy, time, and chance. These are the theories that have been promoted within the parameters of their belief system. So now we're finishing the house. We have it from the bottom all the way up now to the top. Well, bottom, let's go for it. Let's say, okay, number one, the whole foundation of the house is reliable source of knowledge, source of reliable knowledge, human reason. Then we've got the four pillars. We've got the natural domain only exists, the natural elements only exist, the natural processes only exist, only the natural exists, no gods. And then we have our system of thought, which is the natural Greek or Western philosophical naturalism. That is our system of thought, which then we have the three methods, how to get to truth through those rules. Well, there is rationalism, empiricism, and skepticism. There is the hypothesis, there is the testing, there is the retesting, submitting again. Then we go up, okay, what kind of science does that produce? That produces a Western evolutionary science, natural science. And what kind of resources is that science working with? It has matter, energy, time, and chance. And that produces man, or the Big Bang. It produces life through spontaneous generation, and it produces man through mutations from previous material. And what does man that's been produced conclude? Number 14. The conclusion, based on this scientific model, man concludes that the supernatural domain does not exist. Therefore, the Creator God of the Bible cannot exist. That is man's conclusion. And he concludes that. Why? Because he says science proves it. But yet that science is built on a philosophical system that assumes a naturalistic set of rules, which is based on the naturalistic source of human reason, which is based on Western cultural tendencies. That is where we're at. We have now finished the house. The house is finished. All of the sequences are there, and they've been documented. They've been justified because they've been documented. And so where did evolutionary science come from? Did it come from Charles Darwin? Did it come from the abilities that we have as modern science? And the answer is really no. It comes from 600 BC, from the Greek philosophers that made a break from the past, that they wanted no more gods, that they wanted to use their human logic thinking, and they did not want any more to do with authority, with revelation, with tradition, with any of that. So they selected a new source of reliable knowledge. This is chapter 7, Western Science, session number 5. We have one more to go, session 6, and that terminates it. But what we're talking about is the development of Western science. How do I call it? Why do I call it Western science? Well, this is why I call it Western science, because it's built on Western naturalism, Western philosophy, and that we cannot divorce our thinking, our belief system from our practices. That doesn't happen. That can't happen. And that's what Stephen Jay Gould is saying, is that theory, habit, prejudice, and culture all influence the things we choose to observe and the way we perceive them. And so this is a science model that has been built upon certain assumptions, presuppositions. And so the name of that science is Western science. Thanks for accompanying me. We're Tim and Holly Nyquist, and we have one more session to go in this chapter, Western Science. Thanks again.